Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West Show with the ICT TV. Right now we're talking about the Chinese American Film Festival slash Television Festival, which is undergoing in a big way at this very moment while we're speaking. And there's theaters after theaters of show of films being screened, right? There are had been more than 500 submissions. Out of the 500, 250 were selected, and out of the 250, about quite a dozen won the award. Of course, that's a risky industry, but worth your while, right? And even if you're nominated, right? So big thing going on. With me today in partially talking about the film festival is my dear friend Mark Ng. He is the founder and the CEO of Asian B2B, which after talking about the film festival, we'll come back talk about his B2B. We'll do as an introduction to you, B2B. How about that?
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I know that you went to some of the event of the film festival.
Yes.
And how are you impressed? How were you impressed?
Well, I'm very impressed in general with Asian film becoming more prominent. I think 2018 will be the year that really highlights exactly how powerful the Asian film market is. Crazy Rich Asians, as you know, has grossed over $250 million, and with an all-Asian cast, and it's something that really I feel is an honest depiction. I mean, albeit a very rich family, but a lot of the culture and customs still remain, no matter what socioeconomic level you're at. So, that also has opened up a real desire for foreign films, especially ones in foreign languages, to become successful. And I personally am a big advocate of one of the films that I actually invited you to, Jack, and it's called Million Loves in Me, and it's a Malaysian production.
Millions love the millions?
Million Loves in Me.
Million love the million.
Loves in Me. Million Loves in Me.
Oh, Million Loves in Me. All right.
Yeah, really a great movie that my friend John Yu produced. And he actually lives in Canada right now, and he's come here several times to promote. And this film has won over 100 awards. So it's a really great film, and it focuses on...
Million Loves to Me?
Million Loves in Me.
Million Loves in Me. Okay.
And you can Google it, and you'll see it was released in Malaysia, but it's just preparing for an American release.
I see.
And we've tested it, and we had a showing at the Culver City ArcLight Cinemas.
Is it an English film?
There's English subtitles, but it is spoken in a mix of languages: Cantonese, Mandarin, and English. So it's a mix.
Okay. Anyway, so for this year's film of the Chinese American Film Festival film, so which one have you seen?
I haven't seen any specific one yet. I attended the film festival and saw little clips of what looks very promising. And, in fact, I'm going to devote the next couple of weeks to watching a lot of the movies that you have so kindly invited me to. So we'll be able to talk more about that. But seeing the plot and reading the plots of these movies, I'm really excited to see that our stories, our Chinese stories, are becoming a lot more interesting to the mainstream.
And there's already been a discussion about Asian stories, Asian American stories, being recognized as the mainstream of the stories of a Hollywood film. You look at Hollywood, though, you look at the most advantaged technology, science and technology in filmmaking. But you look into the story of the film, so not that much, right?
Correct.
And sometimes you do not even have a storyline. So now that with the blank that the Chinese stories can walk in, and the pure Chinese story, I'd say, or the Chinese stories are not that much welcome.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, are not that kind of, well, you disagree?
I disagree. I think
I would think what will be more welcome is the mixed Chinese, Asian, American, whoever, mixed stories.
Yeah, I actually believe that too many, in the past few decades, we have tried to milquetoast our Chinese stories. I feel too much that in being too accommodating to the American market, we have diluted what is actually very interesting to a lot of people. And this is like this movie, Million Loves and Me, is an example of something that really captured the dynamic of a mother and daughter relationship in the Chinese culture. And as you know, Chinese culture, mothers have a preference for sons. And this daughter got the abuse because of her gender. And I think this is very powerful, especially in the world of Me Too these days and feminism. This will be something that usually gets hidden. And I think a lot of times there's a lot of stuff, you know, that us Chinese go through that we suffer in silence, such as gambling addictions, such as, you know, domestic abuse. And these things are very relatable to the Americans. And it needs to have more of a real, authentic component. And I'm so happy to see these movies come to that now.
There's one already showing. And if you look at the back of the ticket that I gave you, there's a schedule of all the films, right?
Okay.
There's a film that I do not want you to miss, which is Lost, Found.
Lost Found. What's it about, Jack?
Lost Found. It is about a woman attorney. Okay, now the whole thing is based upon a female perspective, right? From the female perspective, that angle, she looks at the society, right? And first of all, if I go by definition, the male character, which is a woman, had a very arrogant attorney, right? Dealing with the civil cases, right? In her dealing with civil cases, she represents one of the husbands going against his wife, right? When in encountering with the wife, though, she says, I'm only doing my job. I do my job. And I'm responsible to laws, not to how you feel, how we feel, how I feel, right? Something like that. She was, I can't say she was rough, but she was professional, okay? And yet in life, things are not that kind of black and white.
Absolutely.
Things are mystifying somewhere in the gray.
Yes.
Right. In that situation, her daughter has been abducted. And in looking for her daughter, though, she started to open her eye to see the rest of the folks, to find a definition where she was.
Wow. Where
everybody is. Of course, through all kinds of hardships. The woman lady was totally beaten down on the ground, on her knees, crying like a beaten dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, give her to me. Give my daughter to me, please. Wow. Please, I beg you, please. That kind of thing. So that moment she realized it is not, her original take about human life, about society, was totally wrong, was on books, right? In reality, things are more complicated. I would not give away too much, all right?
Yes.
To kill your taste, right? And that's how much I can give it to you. I can let go, but be sure that is a film that got me in it.
I will definitely watch that one. I think that's a very powerful and really speaks to the greater culture, right? I think a lot of people have said our Chinese culture can be too rigid at times.
And also, in day-to-day life, we are so accustomed to think, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy, right? We never go ask why this guy is good. Why is this guy bad? What made this guy bad? Remember the other day we were talking about homeless?
Yes.
And in homeless, we really want to find out there are different categories. And the category number one be the folks who are or have been once unfortunate, tumbled over something and they fell. And yet they never were able or had been able to stand back again on their feet.
Yes.
Right. So now, what did they tumble over? What made the fall? Those are the questions that film is asking.
Wow.
And yet the attorney, finally, when she started to learn, and she says in court, she says, I recommend the court, Your Honor, to give the custody to the woman, not the husband. She was defending against. The woman was the party she was defending the husband against.
Yeah.
She totally betrayed herself. And she said,
She learned.
Yeah, and she says, as attorney, I know the consequences. I know that I have to be responsible for whatever I say. So anyway, but that's the way I feel. Please.
Absolutely.
All right, something like that. Very profound in meaning, very enticing in the plot pushing. There are quick turns, twists and turns, all kinds of good film necessities it has.
Absolutely.
Right? And I believe the reason we talk about this much about film, though, is that I believe lots of my friends also comment. For these days, I've done quite a few shows talking about the festival. They say the Chinese films are catching up.
They are.
They're catching up fast. Right? Right, good. All right, my dear friends, with Mark Ng, my dear fellow for Asian B2B, we started this discussion about the Chinese American Film Festival, which is ongoing. If you need a ticket, go online, check about Chinese American Film Festival and Television Festival, short for CAF. If there's a CAFF or CATF, you will also find the link and to get your ticket, right? So it is worth your while. And of course, when you buy a ticket, you buy a universal ticket. You can see all the films of your choice. Well, just make sure you pick up the right film. I can assure you that those films are much, much, much better than the film that you were originally impressed upon by Chinese films. They are much, much better. They caught up. So stay with us. We'll be back introducing to you an Asian B2B. Stay tuned, please.
Great.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome back to the show, Jack Chow, with the East-West show with ICT TV. As you can see, Mark and I, Mr. Mark Ng and I, have been doing quite a lot of shows promoting elected officials, the candidate for elected officials. And by doing so, I started to realize the organization he founded, he is the CEO of, which is the Asian B2B, is very powerful. It's very dynamic. So that gives me the interest of talking about it. And that is why I would like to introduce that Asian B2B to you. How about if we start now?
Well, thank you, Jack, for all the kind words. And I think, Asian Industry B2B is, really started out with a very local focus. I started it because I wanted a networking group that was effective. I've been a business person for many years. I've had, lots of interactions with the community. But what I felt, I think in networking, I learned the networking is really such a difficult thing to learn for a lot of people But I think for what people need to understand is networking should be authentic. It shouldn't be, hey, everyone in the room, give me your 30-second elevator speech, which I never do with people. I always say, what if we create something which touches on all of the things that matter to us and deeply that no one else is talking about, such as politics, such as film, such as cultural nuances, all of these things that really capture more of our, outside of business.
Common interests.
Common interests. And then you can figure out if you have the same values. And then when you actually go into partnership or collaboration with fellow professionals, you would actually have something that is sustainable and that is effective and that is positive.
All right. That's quite a take. That's quite a take. I believe my audience has all heard about Asian B2B. However, you might not necessarily know that Asian B2B is a nonprofit. For these days, people pay lots of attention to nonprofit. Of course, when you work for a nonprofit, you are my hero, right? And of course, there are effectiveness or not effectiveness. In other words, if you work effectively, or you work not effectively. By getting along with Mark Ng, I found out that his Asian B2B is very effective. And he puts all together big people, the important people, the necessary people, the right people. Right. I give you a philosophy which I hold upon. Okay, now, about human race, about a human being. Now, if you take a bird view looking down at a human, suppose you know nothing about a human being, right? You see a layer of ants. We're like ants, right? Because if you look upside down from a bird view, you never understand who is who and why who is who, right? Okay, and these are in a spread way, you see a layer of ants. However, we as one of the ants, we know who we are related to, right? Which group we belong to. But from a bird view, you cannot tell where they belong, which everybody belongs to. Now, give you an example. Suppose there are a group of ants all scattered in an evenly way. However, these two are next to each other, right? But they belong to different groups.
Yes.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? They belong to different groups. They never talk.
Correct.
They never talk. I'm asking you, to Asian B2B, how are you going to make them talk?
Through...
You see the philosophy, right?
Everything is about breaking the ice, right? Only when we interact with each other more and more do we realize the possibilities of synergy and collaboration and understanding different needs, different priorities, different values. That can't be done if you don't break the ice. And if you just put two people in a room, which a lot of organizations do, they don't.
Yeah, exactly. Like in my model. They are next to each other. They don't talk.
Yeah. But if you create great programs like we do, getting the best speakers, getting things that capture people's passions, and you put them two together, put two bystanders watching the program go on, they now have a shared experience and they have something to talk about after, and then the ice breaks.
Good point. Very good point. Like the film.
Absolutely.
Still the film, right? The lady attorney has a nanny. Has a nanny to take care of her daughter because she's busy, right? And the nanny herself has a daughter of her own, right? So, okay, now, on the societal level, an attorney and a nanny, they might be this much in difference. Am I right? But as women, they are all women. They're all mothers. They all have a daughter.
They have that common experience.
They have the common ground. Am I right?
That's right.
So if you would start a conversation at this common ground, though, you will have both of their interests. All right? Am I right?
Absolutely. That's why we break barriers. And that's the only way to do it, through shared experiences.
In other words, in between these two guys, there is always a common ground.
Absolutely.
All right, you break the ice, you make them come together. So two groups, one group becomes two. No, I mean two groups becomes one. Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So no, that's what we try to do with our organization. Is we hold lots of events from different areas of interest that's beyond business. Of course, we have our business seminars, we have that stuff, but we also add a big cultural component, such as our promotion of film, which to me is so important. Because if you think about it, so many Asians, Chinese, Asians, you know, we're just told to work, provide for our families. And one thing that really hit home for me is seeing so many kids, especially the ones that have just recently left home, with a disconnect with their culture and their family. And that is because the parents have spent too much time with making money and doing what's right, but not enough time breaking that ice, like you said, in their home.
Yeah.
So you talk about two strangers that have ice between them. How about when you're in a family and you don't even know who your child is? So most of our business owners really understand that message, that we integrate all aspects of life and culture to make this a special group and to promote issues that ultimately you look bigger, right? You want to talk about a bird's eye view. We're talking real big right now of what is the meaning of life? Are you just supposed to work and throw money at your children, and then one day they're estranged from you? Oh, that's terrible. And that's becoming more and more the case. We're losing our culture, we're losing our values. And so that is my mission, is to celebrate pride in our Asian culture, and also to change things that in society are hurting us, such as in Hollywood and in film. There is a real misrepresentation and underrepresentation of Asians in the media form of film.
You're right. Tradition is the one that we're missing. Especially you talk about the younger generation. They do not carry on your tradition. I'm not saying that the Chinese Americans or Asian Americans are superior than anybody else. I'm talking about any race, people of any race might be superior in certain regards, right? In certain area, right? What if we put all the superiority points together? Do we make better human beings?
Absolutely. That's what specialists are about, right?
So back then, during my time, young kid, always 99% or 100% young kid have respect to elders. Now you see them, they are no longer there. It's totally gone. Last week I was in Alhambra, the weekend I was in Alhambra. There's a young guy driving a Maserati, right, in the middle of the driveway, in the middle of the parking lot, and he parked the car there because of no parking space. They had the doors open both ways, a bunch of them. Had the doors open both ways. No car can come in this way, no car can go the other way. In other words, they are blocking both traffic and everything, the whole parking lot. I happened to be there. I said, "Hey, young man, you are blocking traffic." And you know what he said? With a bunch of girls around him. So what? So what? So, if I look at the guy, he's no bigger than 18 or 19. Wow. 18 or 19. Back then, during my time, people, we would never seen that.
That's right.
We not seen that. So the tradition is lost. So I'm very glad that when I see Asian B2B, I'm talking about only business to business. As a matter of fact, you pay attention to films, you pay attention to culture, and there's lots of juice to talk about within them. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, my dear friends, let's take a short moment out. I'm very glad that I chose the subject today, because my friend Mark Ang, founder and CEO of Asian B2B, a very dynamic organization, nonprofit, which I respect a lot, I would like to share some insight information with you so that you know how much of the importance we're talking about to put groups of people together through Asian B2B or the kind of organizations like Asian B2B, right? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Hello, my dear friend, my lovely audience. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West Show with ICT-TV. ICT-TV, you know why we call ourselves ICT-TV?
You hang out in cities. You have a great audience in a city.
We affiliated with the CBS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're bigger now. We are a member of the CBS affiliation, and by that we using our brand new name, like the iPhone, iPad, or YouTube, or WeChat, and stuff like that. ICT-TV.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you.
Congrats.
Yes. Today I'm having some good time with my friend Mark Ang, founder and CEO of Asian B2B, a non-profit organization which is so dynamic, which moves things around, bring people together. Most importantly, if I quote from my friend Mark Ang, founder and CEO, breaking ice is always the first, right? Mm-hmm. So now, I understand, Mark, that I was, just now I was talking about the culture and culture exchange, and films are also important, are also being paid attention at Asian B2B. Mm-hmm. I mean, my question is how you do that?
I'm sorry.
And you're saying that you're saying that culture exchange or even films mm-hmm. are being paid attention at Asian B2B. Mm-hmm. How do you do that?
So this year,
what do you do?
So this year, we actually, part of our mission in the very beginning of starting this organization about 2 years ago was to address the inequity of how Asians are being represented in media. So one of our board members, Michael Liu, he actually did something really great. UCLA has an apparel catalog, and as you know, UCLA is a school that has probably about 40%, maybe half of it is Asian kids are attending.
48 the last time I checked.
Okay, so close to 50. So half the kids are Asian. But yet in the apparel catalog, there was not a single Asian person in the entire apparel catalog. And I said, wow, this is wrong. And Michael went and actually gave a phone call and an email to the UCLA Bearwear is the name of the apparel catalog outfit, and put pressure on them. And thankfully, they rectified the situation, and in the next season, they were able to put an Asian person in. And that's one of the things that I said, okay, this is a need, because we've talked to a lot of people, especially our business owners, about, you know, how does it feel when your child, who is a teenager, is looking out in society and there are no Asian role models? And to me, that is the biggest core of what we're trying to do, is to uplift great people in society, like you, Jack, that's, you know, a leader in news and entertainment, to be a role model to younger people to actually see a vision in a future. Every other race has that, okay? From the white people, obviously, black people, and even the Hispanics. They have people that are uplifted in culture and society. So really, for me, if you're looking at different tiers, print is probably on the lowest, but still very important. That's why we did what we did. But film is on the highest, because film has the power to make you laugh, to make you cry, to bring you into an emotional experience. Just like you were saying, Lost Found.
Yeah. I was not weeping, I was crying.
Because it emotionally touched you.
Yes.
And usually in movies, there's something called a hero arc. So I don't know if you know what a hero arc is.
I know.
But the hero is a lead character that goes through trials and tribulations and ultimately a coming of age to find themselves and becomes a transformed, better human being. Asians are never put in that arc. So how is someone who watches, especially kids, you know, it becomes a default babysitter for most of our Asian kids that are growing up that are just watching movie after movie and they don't see any Asian people.
Yeah, conceptually, Mark, I really appreciate that you make a huge point. All right.
Yeah.
Take myself, for example. The moment I left home, I thought I was putting everything behind me. Right. Now I can say to myself, I really wish I had brought something along with me. I mean, here, conceptually, right? Of course, back then China wasn't doing too good. Back then China was poor. Back then, living conditions, everything was so horrible. And yet, the people's inside, the beauty of the mind, you shall always keep that with you. And that's exactly what I do now, right? So I would say that if everybody does what I have, bring the best element, the best stuff, right, with them of their own home nation, home country. And here at the round table of a big new country, though, can we perform even better?
Absolutely. I mean, we have the greatest thing about our Asian and Chinese cultures is we believe in the mind. We believe in unlocking the mind's capabilities by educating our children and giving them the tools. Okay? With that, we can change the world. We can change, and you see we're doing that now with entertainment. Okay? For so long, we were quiet and we just let people walk all over us. And part of our mission too is to uplift our leaders, people, you know, from all aspects, from media to politics to entertainment, and move them up. And so our younger generation can have role models and we can be a strong force. Like say the blacks and the Latinos, they're out there, they're unified. And we don't have that unity. And I want to break the ice and foster that unity.
And one thing you have to make people realize that. Realize that it is right there in front of us. We haven't been able to point it out yet.
Yes.
Right? And because we're too busy.
We short sell ourselves too.
We short sell, yeah, we short sell. For example, in my house, my younger son, Andrew, was born here. He's 24 now, right? Since a baby, I treat him like an adult, right? I said, I'm right not because I'm dad, because what I say is right. In case I say wrong, you can argue. If you can convince me, I go your way. However, basic, right? I said, give me a toothpick, will you? He will get a toothpick, he will give me it this way. Since little till now. And the other day he told me, he impressed his mentor by doing this. Wow, where do you learn this?
Yeah.
Where did you learn this? He asked. Right? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I just grew up that way. Right? So if everybody carries the original characteristics with them, though, well, we can be better human beings.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm very glad Asian B2B does that.
Absolutely.
Which I never were able to realize. I thought you guys a bunch of money egos.
No.
Whoever makes money is the one.
No, not at all. And actually, I find the most successful and sustainable businesses are people that give back to society, and they're the ones that have a big picture perspective. And to me, that's the most important thing. That's why our tagline is quality professionals, because we attract quality.
Quality professionals. Quality professionals.
And, you know, in the film aspect, circling back to that, you know, what we did was the culmination of so many people that came with this common mission around fair Asian representation. We decided to do our July mixer to feature, and our good friend William Hung, who you know from American Idol, he recommended a group called Collaboration. And Collaboration, there was this wonderful lady named Minji Chang, and she came to speak to us and showed us exclusive, never before seen clips of Crazy Rich Asians a month before it was released. And we got over 150 people into El Monte in our room, and they were all engaged in watching these clips as well as supporting some of our indie films. And I realized, wow, just this theme is so powerful because there's such a need. Our Asians want to see ourselves on the big screen, not for any ego purposes, but really from a perspective of our stories need to get heard. And we have unique stories. You know, I mentioned a lot of stuff that, you know, you had mentioned it in Lost Found, and I mentioned it in Million Loves in Me. These issues around mental illness, addictions, domestic abuse, hoarding, you know, a lot of these things are maybe negative aspects of the Asian, you know, our Asian experience, but it's a symptom of some deeper things, and we need to be honest.
Exactly. I just now said that you want to ask why is he what he is? Right? What made him it is now? Right? So you go there, you find a societal problem.
Yes.
And then we, a member of society, though, we are part of it. We are part of it.
Yep.
Right? So take mental problem, for example. I give you an example. Okay, now, in the city of Fullerton, okay, now let's take a short moment out. We come back to stretch it out to find out if mental problem are not handled in a way properly, it can be devastating.
Absolutely.
All right, good. Okay. All right, we'll be right back. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. I say, my dear fellow Angelinos, welcome back to the show. I love you. We love you. Me and my crew, we all love you. And we do everything we can whenever there's a chance. We put some conceptual subject into the show to see if we can be built into better human beings. Right now, the election is undergoing. This very moment as we speak, they are punching holes. Let our folks punch holes for the rest of the day whatsoever. Result we'll be talking about starting tomorrow. Right now is a little gap. We see the gap, we bring the conceptual discussion here, and we talk about it. Mark raised a very, 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 very super important question. As a founder of and a CEO of Asian B2B, I thought they only focus on money making. Right? As a matter of fact, they also focus on conceptual building. Right? Now, but for that, there is one issue included is that the mental health problem. Mental health problem not only has a reason, has a cause, but also it is important you treat the mental problem as a mental problem. I'll give you an example. In the city of Fullerton, 2012, July the 5th, at 7:30, a guy named Kelly Thomas, a year known, if I quote from Los Angeles Times, called the landmark of Fullerton, because he's been a lunatic for the past 25 years. Every day at a certain time, he would appear at a certain spot of the city, and everybody of the total Fullerton population, right, of visitors not included, knew that he is a lunatic. He's friendly, he smiles all the time, he does talk to people, but it doesn't make sense in a crazy way, all right? And no offense whatsoever. And he listens, he obeys, all right? That is the way, that is the one. However, his brain doesn't function like yours and mine. He's a lunatic. Okay, now, Officers, for some reason, searched his bag, got him agitated. He started to resist. With the resistance, there goes the punch. With the punch, there goes taser. With the taser, that goes stronger resistance, and with the stronger resistance, that goes stronger punishment, until to a point, the officer putting gloves on, the rubber gloves. See this? This will F you. And the officers want to F you. Want to F him. And they did F him. They bang, bang, bang. You look at the picture, you can search online, Kelly Thomas, face picture or something, right? The face was this big, swollen. There's not a human face. If nobody tells you there's a human face, though, you will not recognize that's a human face.
Yeah.
All right.
That's so
now,
sad.
It was 6 officers punching him, tasing him, beating him. There was one, and there was one sitting on his chest. He was screaming, "I can't breathe! Help me, Father, Dad!" The last words. Right? There's another one with a knee on his chest, with a broken bones, because of the cause. Right? And then, okay, now when the 6 officers who were participating in the beating, though, right, they were announced free man. They walk free man out of court. Why? Because police officers, they have their profiles, right? They have their whatsoever protocols that if you escalate, for example, I say stop. If you don't stop, I can chase, right? If you look back, I can shoot, because you may look back and shoot at me. You escalate.
Yes.
Right? Now, when I tell you to obey, you didn't obey. When I search your backpack, right? So that deserves a punch. When you receive the punch, you need to capitulate, and you didn't. You resisted, and that deserves 3 more punches, for example. And then the resistance gets even bigger and bigger. That goes to the taser, and the taser again and again. The whole face burned like a Beijing duck.
Oh, Lord.
Right, the whole thing. So you handle this Kelly Thomas lunatic situation with a lunatic mind, I would say.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's not the way to do it.
Right.
Really, you know,
Right.
that's...
The law says they're
my
free.
heart.
The law says they're free. And yeah, they're free. I was a good friend of Mr. Bruce Whitaker of City of Fullerton, his council member. You know why I picked him? Because he was the only one.
He did the right thing.
Yeah, he did the right thing to stand for Kelly Thomas at demanding for truth.
Yes.
Right, something like that. Now you mentioned about Kelly. Excuse me, I'm so excited. The lunatic such as Kelly Thomas problems, right? The mind problem, the mental health problem, though, and that our society, if our society fail to deal with it in a way, proper way, we're going to see more of the Kelly Thomas, more of the Fullerton cops, like that. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely, and you know we always regularly bring mental health professionals like psychologists, and we had that when we focused on our movie Trafficked, which is we did a screening of that. Ashley Judd was the main actress and the big name actress on that movie, and we did a showing in Glendale. And we brought some mental health professionals to talk about people in PTSD from human trafficking, sex trafficking. But we also brought mental health professionals earlier this year in January in Alhambra, and we featured my good friend Sean Hurst, who works with the API population and a lot of the mental health issues that comes with that population. Most, you know, and I mentioned a few, such as domestic abuse, gambling addictions, alcoholism, a lot of this stuff that is not put out there, but a lot of it has to do with certain habits and behaviors in our...
You help them, not punish them.
Yes, you help them.
You help them.
You give them love, but you also give them boundaries.
Yeah, of course. In Kelly Thomas' case, okay,
That was not.
if any of the 6 officers who all know Kelly Thomas say, oh, come on, let him go, he's a lunatic. Life is saved.
Yes.
Right?
And this was a guy that everyone, he gave joy, even in his state that was not normal, not like us.
Yeah.
He gave happiness to people, and that is so sad. And Bruce, who is also my good friend, I love Bruce Whitaker. Such a great,
Yes.
honest man.
Yeah. I respect him like a brother.
He stood up for that and stood up for truth and gave one angle of the story that it's so easy when a life is lost like that to be black and white, like you said.
Okay, when the cop says freeze, get down the ground. Why we get down the ground? Because we understand the language, we understand the order, we communicate, and then we got on the ground.
Correct.
Right? A lunatic, he wasn't able to understand. You want him to do the same thing that you do?
Yeah, it's not.
All right,
it's
now
not
you
so
may
easy.
not know him, but in this case, you know him, Kelly Thomas, for 25 years.
Yeah.
He's known
He's
a
a
landmark.
fixture of the community. Yes.
All right, good. So this is unfair. This is such an unfair treatment. And at the seminar that you guys put together, Asian B2B, when next time you do seminars for about how to take care of mental health victims, please give me an invite.
I will, and we will talk about this at our gala. So I've invited you to that. Hopefully you can round up a good table for us on December 8th. And I invite everyone to join us. You can get the tickets online on Eventbrite and come support our organization, because a ticket also gives you free membership for the entire year of 2019. So come join us in Arcadia Community Center on December 8th, which is a Saturday night at 6 p.m. It's going to be a great thing where we're going to show aspects of film, media, politics, culture, and charity. All of that is going to be one speaker from each, and you're going to see a lot of Asian people.
Information?
Yes, AIB2B.org. So that's the initials of Asian Industry B2B, business to business.org. So it's AIB2B.org.
Okay, very good. And as you can see, it already pops up on the screen, AIB2B. So go check out, see what you can do. Of course, well, you can even help them. You can learn from them. You can get help from them. Well, either way, all right? Whatever way. Okay, my dear friend, that wraps up today's interview. I feel very, very happy that we finally see a moment that I can insert some conceptual discussion to the shows. And to my friend, Mark Ng, I appreciate a lot for what he has done, including founding of the Asian Industry B2B, and ever since, being the involvement with elections, non-elections, whatsoever, and even with the mental health problem that we face so long time. All right, my dear audiences, we see you next time.